Hey everybody, Adhpa here. Missed last week because I was traveling, so sorry if you guys missed me. Manxie showing off a little bit today, yanking up the cards in the mat. He's a silly boy. What are you doing, Manxie? I wanted to talk this week about Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, so if you guys have followed my channel at all, and by the way, if you're following it, like, subscribe, do all this stuff. It helps the algorithm and all that, and I appreciate it very much. If you've been following this channel at all, you'll understand that I do a lot of sort of deductive reasoning, and then I see what the tarot cards have to say about the reasoning that I've come to. So, and I've applied that to this case. I've followed the Epstein case all along, as probably a lot of you have. And what I have deductively reasoned is that Donald Trump was probably involved very much in the whole operation. He seemed to be trafficking himself in young girls in beauty pageants at that time. So it seems natural to see the link between what he was doing and what Epstein was doing. These are girls maybe going back and forth. It's a very, to me, it's very clear and obvious that Donald Trump has participated in sexual activities with people against their will, and has never been held accountable for that. I hope that in the bigger picture of karma and energy, the kind of energy that a man like that creates and carries around themselves will eventually, present them with karmic opportunities to pay the price for what they've done. And I'm sure that'll be the case for that man. But in the meantime, what I'd like to see is if my deductive reasoning that sort of sees Trump as highly integrated into whatever that operation that Epstein was involved in was about, is true. If the cards think or present information that show him as being complicit. So, I'm going to bring you down, see if we can get Manxie to give up the spot. Will you give up the spot, Manxie? Not easily. But we'll see what we can do and toss some cards and see what they have to say. All right, hold on, and I'll bring you down. Okay, now, all readings are for entertainment purposes only. We're going to use the Pocket Oracle today and the Crow Tarot. And I have shuffled the decks, but I'll shuffle up a little bit more now as we ask the question, to what extent and how, if any, was Donald Trump involved in Jeffrey Epstein's child trafficking ring? Let's see what the cards have to say. There we go. Cards popping all over. And the clarifiers. All right, so we're starting out with the Four of Cups as the signifier, That is an energy being offered and a contemplation of the energy. So if we are taking this to be the signifier, as Donald Trump, it looks like he was offered something to come in to this, whatever was going on. Like he was made an offer to be brought into it. And that is clarified by luminous warrior. So it's almost like there was some sort of spiritual leader, somebody who was involved in that, who offered it to him to get involved. Maybe to say it was to help the girls, possibly this was pitched to him in that way. The challenge was Knight of Cups. This is actions of energy. This can be, people often say the cups is about love. So if we're talking about this ring for self-satisfaction of people, I would say that maybe he saw himself as someone who could come in and help these girls in a good way, but he was challenged by what that would take. As clarified by fire, maybe he was challenged by his passion. So maybe at some level he thought he was going to be helping these girls get famous or whatever, but the challenge that he had was about his personal passions getting involved. What he could control, keeping it hidden. The deception, some lunacy behind it, as clarified by the hummingbird. It's like it was ubiquitous. Like he could control how far this spread, how far the understanding about it spread. Recent past, Knight of Swords. That's legal actions or taking mental actions. Doing things driven by your thinking about it in the past. So it could be that there were a lot of legal actions taken against the organization in the past, as clarified by Tree of Life. Like this grew from the ground up. There was some natural actions that came out of it because of what was occurring, and it naturally grew into these legal actions. What they couldn't control, Queen of Wands, that is directing internal passions. It's also women, and about a strong woman. So possibly that's maybe Ghislaine or some other women that they couldn't control. Wild woman, clarified by the wild woman. So they could not control the women that came out and talked about what happened and what was going on. They couldn't break them. They were trying to manifest good fortune, Wheel of Fortune, as clarified by lightning. It's like they were trying to find certain women, achieve certain powerful moments. It's almost like this was just all about libido. How he sees himself in relation to this situation is, giving out and withholding, having control over dispensing the well-being or payments, paid people out probably, as clarified by Earth. So maybe also that there's an Earth karma about all of this. This is just the way of the Earth. This is how things are done between men and women, I would say, could be the reading on that. The environment in which he sits, Knight of Wands, all these actions. These are passionate actions, passionate actors. So he's like surrounded by these men driven by their libido. As clarified by the Rainmaker, these are also the guys, Wall Street, the ones that make the money come, could be big business people, could be government people. These are the people in power. So these are the men in power around him. Hopes and Fears is about the commitment they made. Four of Wands. They were wedded to this use of women in this way, and this use and abuse. And it worries him because it's a big circle. It's a big circle of financiers, politically powerful people, quietly powerful people behind the scenes, and they're all wedded to this idea of using women and girls this way, maybe boys as well. As clarified by the Medicine Wheel. Yeah, I think they're worried about it all coming back around on them. And what will the outcome be? The outcome is the Nine of Wands. He is really in the middle of this. This has been his battle. He's been right in the middle of all of these passions. And he's still standing. Clarified by the Holy Mountain. And that is interesting. So I'd say he's trying to lift this out of the struggle it was. And it looks to me like what the cards are saying is that he was sort of brought into it because of other things he was doing, and now he's trying to extricate himself and place himself as some sort of holy survivor, like the good guy. He's trying to make himself out for that, or he will try. That's what he's trying to do. And that at the bottom of the deck, we have the Eight of Pentacles, which is all about working on mastering his well-being. So he's really trying to protect himself in all of this and separate himself out of it. And as clarified by the Ancient Ones, working on it with the Ancient Ones, which is the number 1 card. That's like the Fool. He's like back to the beginning, working back to the beginning. Wow. Well, let me bring you up and we'll have a little talk about this spread. Well, that's an interesting read. So I don't think it's clear. I don't think it really gives us a lot of clarity about exactly how he was involved, but it looks to me very much like he was running in those circles of people and they offered him something. He got something out of it personally, and now he's trying to pull himself out of it and separate himself from whatever that was. If we were to, some people have said that, and I kind of agree with this, for entertainment purposes only, that likely what this was all about with Epstein had political implications. Like there was an attempt to manipulate political men through getting them involved in this. You can think of it as a honeypot. So possibly what this is saying in that context is that somebody approached Donald, appealed to his inner passions, used him to hide things, cover things up, drew on his resources, that he had the ability to give out, like Mar-a-Lago, and used it in ways that he wasn't really against, but now he's trying to minimize his role in that whole operation. I don't think he cared about what was going on with politicians, honestly. I think what he cared about was furthering his own personal goals, whatever they were, and getting his satisfaction, his personal satisfaction. So I would say he was not involved in crafting that whole operation or in running it, but his resources were used to further it, and he was pulled into it for purely personal gain or for whatever they offered him. So I would say that yes, for entertainment purposes only, the cards seem to be saying he was involved. It was purely for self-satisfaction, and now he's trying to cover that up and hide it. No surprise. No surprise whatsoever. However, it should bear repeating over and over and over and over again that this man, who was allegedly elected president, which I don't think happened without cheating, I just don't, is also someone who abuses and uses underaged human beings for his personal satisfaction without compunction. So there's that. All right, that's what we got. Check out my readings that I post for the week and daily. I post them on Facebook. I also post them on my YouTube channel. You can find me on Facebook as Adhpa. You can also find me on Blue Sky as Adhpa. And I post those readings daily there too. So check it out. Leave me comments. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you next week. All right. I love you. Have a great week, intrepid experimenters.